Well, thanks everybody for attending. Welcome to NetCapital's live Q&A with GenesisAI. We have the CEO with us, Archil. Archil, thanks for being here.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
We're excited. So today I'm going to be interviewing Archil. We're going to dig into a bunch of questions about the company, learn a little bit more about the investment opportunity, and kind of just dive into everything. For everyone who's attending, you're more than welcome to ask questions of Archil. There's a Q&A function at the bottom of Zoom here. Feel free to put your question in there, and I'll slot it in at the appropriate time. We'll try and keep some continuity and kind of keep a nice flow to the event today. And if you're watching this via recording and you have additional questions after you've finished watching, you can go to GenesisAI's Netcapital page and post the question on their discussion board. And Archil's been really active on there, so I'm sure he'll get right back to you. So with that, again, Archil, thanks for being here.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you. My pleasure.
So to kick it off, just to make sure we're all on the same page, give us just a brief overview of what GenesisAI is. Set the stage for us.
For sure. So GenesisAI is a marketplace for artificial intelligence products and services. So it's a web platform that allows companies to buy or sell all things AI related. This includes on-the-shelf, ready-to-go products and services, and so on. So problem we are trying to solve is lack of connectivity that exists with AI models. Currently, AI models are operating and developed in silos. There's no communication, no way for AI models to learn from each other, no way to exchange data and trade services. And this is a problem we are trying to solve. And I think companies that solve this problem will do great for the world. So this is what we are doing. Exactly.
Well, it's really exciting. So to kick it off, before we dive into the product itself, we always like to go over the team. So can you talk to me a little bit about the team at GenesisAI, kind of who's on it, what your backgrounds are, and why you think you put together a successful team?
For sure. So on the business development side, I'm a CEO. So I used to work at Bridgewater Associates, largest hedge fund in the world. I was doing investing and trading there. I did economics at Harvard College. I was first guy from my country, Georgia, doing college there. And I have done a few startups, a few successful ones, including one in artificial intelligence space, specifically employee performance analytics space. My co-founders, David has done senior software engineering at Google, has been doing AI stuff for the last 10 years around. Mena has been doing a physics PhD at Harvard. He worked with me in my previous company. So we share history, we share friendship history, and we would like to build great company together, and we would like to allow everyone to participate in building future of artificial intelligence.
Sure. And I know there's been a lot of questions about David and Mina. So can you just clarify, are they working full time on the project right now? I know they're co-founders. Kind of what's their status?
For sure. So they are part-time. So I personally full-time, and goal is to extend the number of full-time people we have in the team by 3-4x basically, at least in next few weeks and next few months. And goal will be to scale up even more. We are doing deep technology, which is more about quality of the people versus quantity of the people. And it's more about inventing and innovating versus just writing 100,000 plus lines of code every month. So we are trying to build teams that can innovate and that can build upon existing knowledge and potentially create foundation for artificial general intelligence, which we believe can be extraordinarily valuable technology for the humankind.
Yeah, that sounds really exciting. So, let's dive in to a little bit of the problem, right? You talked about it at a high level, but let's dig a little deeper. So talk to me about the problem you're going after. What's the issue in the AI space?
For sure. So currently, there are two biggest problems with the AI space right now. First is AI models are very narrow. So they are created for a single purpose, and they can only do one or two or very, very few things. For example, Tesla self-driving car technology works very well on Model S, right? But it cannot work on a two-wheeler bike or two-wheel motorcycle, right? For example, or AIs that can play chess cannot easily start playing poker, right? And win money for it, right? So this is very narrow, and this is a big problem for artificial intelligence space. So second problem we have in AI space, which is also intertwined with the first problem, is there's no connectivity. Almost all the AI models are operated developed in silos. There is no easy way for these AI models to learn from each other, to exchange data and trade services. It's sort of paradox that AI is all about getting as much data and learning from different sources, and AI models are being operating in silos. This is craziness of this industry. And our goal is to completely disrupt this, to bring something new, something revolutionary, something that will allow all these hundreds of thousands of AI models to work together, to connect. And we believe that is the best way to lay foundation for artificial general intelligence, because what is how human is able to do many things at the same time, because there is also all these expert parts, right? There is a part which is responsible for flexing muscles. There's part which is responsible for hearing, for seeing, and so on, right? Similar, and all of these are connected to each other using brain. So that's exactly what we want to do. We would like to crowdsource all these expert AI models and then connect them using our protocol, which is sort of constitution bunch of ifs and statements that specify how distinct AI models can work together.
Great. And so just to dig a little deeper on the problem itself. So it sounds like there might be two issues. The first is that AI models aren't talking to each other and learning from each other. And the second is that from your example, Tesla, if Tesla builds an AI model, there's no way for some other smaller company or different company to take that model and build upon it. Am I getting that about right?
Absolutely, Rob. Exactly. That's right.
Interesting.
That's right. Yeah, and we would like to go from there being almost no connectivity in AI space to all the world's AI products and services being connected to each other. And we believe that will improve accuracy rates of models substantially. Our estimate is around 300% improvement in accuracy rate of models, and also will increase functionality, right? So here's a simple example. So I can have two tools working together. For example, speech recognition created by, let's say, students in Bulgaria working with translation model created by a company in US to produce speech translation. So I can use two distinct models to create something with broader capabilities, something that can do speech translation. So if you can scale it up by 100x, you can imagine how many things you can do. For example, you can add sentiment analysis. So then you will have speech being translated and then sentiment analysis done on that speech, right? And then you can add more and more. Then you can add a summary of sentiment analysis of speech translation, right? And so this is limitless opportunities. That's why we're extremely excited about this.
Yeah, it does. The possibilities do seem quite endless. It seems very exciting.
Exactly.
And so talk to me about the product itself. What is GenesisAI?
For sure. So our product has few layers. So I'll talk about what is it currently and where we are planning to go in next few years. So currently our product has two parts. First is a marketplace, right? Which is similar to Amazon in terms of it's a place where two different parties connect. People who like to sell and people who like to use and buy, right? And we have 6 AI models up and running on our marketplace. Anyone can go and use and play with this, right? So that's on the marketplace side. Most of the AI models deployed are focused on the asset management space because it was the first industry we entered and one of the industries we believe there's the biggest opportunity. So that's one direction. Second direction of our product is protocol, which is much harder technically than building a marketplace. The idea here is how you can create set of rules or sort of constitution of how distinct AI models can work together, right? I guess analogy here is I have Apple charger here, right? So I can use this in US, but if I go to Europe, I will not be able to connect my Apple charger to the plug, right? So if I had some sort of a transmission mechanism to convert this into a type of chargers that will be able to be used in Europe, that will be a game changer, right? So that's exactly what we would like to build for the artificial intelligence space. We would like to have, for example, one model that has completely different way of receiving and providing data connected to completely different model that has different protocol of receiving and providing data.
Okay. Yeah, that's really exciting. So starting with the first side of the marketplace, the kind of the marketplace itself. So you said you have 8 models there so far?
6.
6, sorry. And so what does it look like on that front? Like who puts their models up? What does that side of the marketplace look like? And then who is purchasing these models? What's that type of buyer look like?
For sure. So on the supplier side, we started to seed our marketplace by deploying models ourselves. This is the analogy is if Uber started to have their own cars initially, it's just to bootstrap the marketplace, right? So that's the first direction. Second direction, we have around 20-25 companies on the supplier side. These are companies who would like to deploy their AI products on our platform, and we have a large waiting list there. And goal is to next few months to deploy lots of these models on our marketplace. So we will go from 6 models to 30 plus models, right? So that's on the supply side. On the buyer side, we are targeting right now 2 industries. First, asset management, and second, we very recently entered the healthcare because of what's happening in the world, right? I think it's our more responsibility to participate in defeating COVID, and I think it's everyone's responsibility, and we are looking for participants for this as well. So, so that's on the buyer side. A simple example of the interaction is, for example, we have tools that's called exposure analyzer. The way it works is you can type, for example, events. This can be Brexit, and it will tell you how your portfolio or how different assets are being affected by Brexit. It will tell you, for example, the Airbus or Deutsche Bank are companies that will be affected by Brexit, and this is all automated, right? So that's just one example of how this can be very, very useful in asset management space.
Interesting. And so, and then on the protocol side, how would the business model around the protocol work? Would it be that you would be able to, just tell me how that would work.
For sure, yeah. So, idea of protocol is if we have 500, let's say, AI models on our platform, and they can benefit by working together, how we can create bigger functionality and accuracy rate by allowing them to interact, right? For example, let's say there is a company that is requesting speech translation. There is a guy who is providing speech recognition tool, and there's a guy who provides translation tool. But the company wants speech translation. So if there was no easy ability to connect these 2 tools, companies will miss opportunity to do the deal, right? But in our platform, will allow them to split money that will be paid for speech recognition, right? So let's say 50% will go to speech translation, 50% will go to speech recognition, and 50% will go to speech translation, right? So that's the sort of idea. Protocol is more of an infrastructure, whilst marketplace is where the monetization happens from.
Okay, that makes sense. And so we've got a couple of investor questions around the marketplace itself. Well, let's add some of those in. So you talked about entering the healthcare space. So one question is, will GenesisAI have applications to solve the interoperability problem of medical records?
So I will not be able to say about all the interoperability problems, because there's huge interoperability problem in healthcare, and we're going to start with 1 or 2 use cases initially. And now we are in process of figuring out which of those few initial use cases should be, right? So we are thinking about detection, treatment, contact tracing. You're helping potential regulators how to minimize risk of spread, and there are many different ways, right? And figuring out where to focus for next a year or two is probably bigger decisions than actually how you execute it. So that's what we are doing right now, and our goal will be to find the true where the biggest pain points there is, and where the AI tools can add the biggest benefits.
That makes sense. And a kind of higher level question from another investor. You mentioned Amazon of AI. Is this not more like the internet of AI?
So that's a good question. So Amazon of AI is basically sort of layer one of what's is coming, right? So idea here is Amazon of AI sort of application, what internet is more of an infrastructure, right? So we are building both infrastructure and an application on top of this infrastructure. So protocol is infrastructure, which you can think about as an internet. This is a great question. And application is more as the Amazon, right? Because the users cannot, no one can use an internet if they were not, I mean, people can use, but users, most normal people without computer science knowledge, they will not really be able to use the internet if there were no browser, right, to allow them to use it. The browser is some sort of application built on top of internet, and on top of these applications there are additional applications, right? So these are like layered approach. Layer first is protocol, layer two is application, and layer three will be applications on top of those applications.
Okay, and then we've got a further question that's it's a multi-layered question, so we'll see if we'll dig through it. So I think there's a lot of good stuff here about the product. So the first is simply, how do you facilitate something as complex as buying and selling an AI model? How does the transaction work and the marketplace function?
Yeah, for sure. So simplest way, so there will be simplest way, which can be more of a matchmaking. Let's say there's a company who would like to summarize earnings announcements of different stocks, and then there is a company that has natural language processing tools that can do summarization, right? And by the way, we have actually summarizer tool on our platforms that does summarization. So of why different stocks went up and went down, why they had big changes. So in order for that to happen, the simplest way is a buyer goes on our platform, he sees a tool that's already deployed, and he starts using it. That's the simplest way how this can happen, right? And we will take 30% commission from the money that will be exchanged through our platform, right? And that's the simplest way. More complicated way is when a buyer needs something that requires coordination of multiple AI suppliers. And that's where the beauty and the most interesting part comes in. And, or let's say buyer wants the best of the best sentiment analysis tool, and there are 10 sentiment analysis tools on our platform. So the way we can do there is to do some sort of auctioning system. Auctioning system can be, there will be some sort of test data that will be sent, and companies that provide the highest accuracy rate will get the job awarded. This is also, by the way, a very groundbreaking idea here, because through auctioning, we will be able to increase accuracy rate of the models. Whilst if you just relied on a single model, right, then you will sacrifice some of the opportunities in maximizing your accuracy rates.
That's really interesting. And then the second half of the question is, there are individual business requirements, differences in data sets, difference in data maturity, team skills, et cetera. So do you plan on providing consulting to help find and implement the right AI solution for companies, or are they left to kind of shop on their own at this point?
For sure, that's a great question, Rob. And that was also one big problem we discovered. We discovered that lots of companies did not even know which of their problems could be solved by AI. It's wanted AI, but they had no idea where this can be applied, right? So those companies need some sort of consulting and guidance at the same time. Because we are more of a technology company, Ideally, we don't want to do any consulting, but we have suppliers who can do this. For example, we recently started working with this company called Repute AI, which can help companies discover where AI can be applied, and then basically act as consultant and then act as engineers, right? So we are gonna help these companies through Repute AI, for example. And if we are overwhelmed by demand, then we might participate in doing that as well.
That makes sense. Thanks for all the great questions from investors. If people have more, keep them coming. We've got a couple more in the queue, but I'm gonna get to those in a little bit. So circling back, let's talk about the market. How big is the market for both GenesisAI as an individual company and AI products overall?
For sure. And how big is the market also completely changed in last few months of what's sort of unfortunate circumstances happening in the world, because now almost everyone wants to adopt AI and almost everyone wants to adopt technology, right? So it went through the roof in even last few months as well. And different estimates AI market, for example, Transparency Market Research, 5.5 trillion around in next 7-8 years, if I remember correctly. I need to double check. So it's an extraordinary opportunity. We're talking about market size, future market size, potentially in trillions, because AI can be able to and can be deployed in almost everything and can improve everything, right? If you can have technologies that do automated driving, right? If you can have technologies that can automate so many different things, right? Building cars or building so many different things. That's groundbreaking, right? Just imagine the simplest example is how much money is being spent on driving, right? To drivers, and how much time people sacrifice to drive, which technically could have been used productivity for something else, right? That's just one example of how much impact AI can have on this world. And I have not even mentioned healthcare, where, if we are able to cure disease X by using sophisticated statistical models and AI tools, we might be able to bring something beautiful, something amazing for the world.
Yeah, that's really exciting. So some of our investors are reading my mind, and so I wanted to move on to the business model. I know we've touched on it a little bit, but I want to talk about kind of what the business model is, how you make money. So we have a question from an investor. The marketplace business model is one of the most difficult business models to build, yet one of the most powerful. How are you planning to build the two sides of it, and what stages are you at this point?
That's a great question. Yes, marketplace is sometimes a chicken and egg problem, where companies do not want to come in because there are no sellers, and sellers do not want to come in because there are no buyers, right? So there is this problem, and one way we are solving this problem is by being suppliers ourselves initially, right? So we seeded our own platform by different AI tools. So there is demand from buyers already because they are tools, right? And because they are tools, now we have a wait list of many companies on the supply side who like to join, right? And more those guys join, more buyers there will be, and nothing will be able to stop when we will start going on this upward spiral. Nothing. This will be beautiful, amazing, because this is beauty of marketplace. Once you figure out what you are doing, there is absolutely no limit, especially in AI space, where network effects can be enormous, right? You can improve accuracy rates by having a lot more AI tools on your platform. And better accuracy rates you have, much more buyers want to be on your platform, and much more sellers want to be on your platform because there are a lot more buyers. So this is one of the biggest defensibility in our industry. In many industries, there's absolutely no defensibility. In what we are doing, this will be a huge barrier to entry for other companies, because when we are on this upward spiral of improving accuracy rate, more demand, more suppliers, more demand, more suppliers, and so on, we will be able to have best of the best AI tools in the world.
Very exciting. And so when we think about that marketplace and how it's an upward spiral, the business model itself, I think you mentioned something about taking a 30% cut. Just talk to me about how, like, kind of what's the dollars and cents business model?
What's what?
Oh, sorry. With the dollars and cents, like, how are you making money? Where are
Yeah.
the transactions happening? Where's GenesisAI actually making revenue?
For sure, for sure. Yeah. Here is example. So let's say that a company deployed, for example, a tool for the asset management space, and they would like to charge 10,000 per user per year. So every time someone comes in our platform and they see this tool, they will be displayed, this is how much it costs, for example. And if you want to start, for example, here is a 1 week free trial you can start with, and then you will pay this to Genesis, which will send 70% to the provider, right? To the seller, basically. So that's a simple example. Someone will pay, let's say, 10,000 per user per year for Bloomberg types AI service, for instance. Seller will get 70%, and we're going to get 30%.
That makes sense. So talk to me about, I know we've hit on this a lot now. We're going to kind of cover some things, but what's been the progress so far? Where's the company at? And what are the kind of upcoming milestones?
For sure, for sure. So on the product side and on the business side, right? So on the product side, we have marketplace beta up and running. We have 6 AI models. We're making progress on the protocol side, which is much more difficult than the marketplace parts. And goal will be to extend number of AI models we have and improve our protocol. And that will probably be a huge priority, especially for next 2-3 years. And after that, goal will be to go from building this infrastructure and application to thinking more about how we can enable how we can sort of lay foundation for some, like basic AGI built on this in maybe next 10, 20 years or who knows how, right? So I think that will start to become priority next 3 years. Now it will be more about creating ecosystem community of AI tools. You will have natural language processing, speech recognition, computer vision, and all these different AI tools interacting and working together. So that's on the product side. And on the business development side, goal will be to have as many buyers as possible, both individual users and companies as well, and also have suppliers from all around the world, from all backgrounds, being able to compete in this marketplace where no one will discriminate anyone based on anything, right? This will be completely meritocracy based, where if you are providing great technology, you will not need to spend countless amount of money on business to business sales. No, we are going to bring buyers for you. Only thing you need to do is to keep your model working great and beautifully. That's the only thing you need to do. So if you are, let's say, a student in let's say Philippines, and you don't have access to US market, we are going to give you access to US markets, and we are going to bring buyers for you, and you'll be happy, you will make money, buyers will make, everyone will make money. So this is our vision of shared AI for everyone, both for sellers and for buyers. It's a tragedy right now that Google, Facebook, and few other companies have almost full monopoly over all things AI. Best of the best AI engineers work there. All the infrastructure is concentrated there. This is tragedy because whoever has monopoly over means of automation has monopoly over resources. And if you cannot get resources, then there's no way you can continue living normally, right? So, just imagine if someone had exactly. So our goal is to share these benefits, spread these benefits of beautiful technology to everyone in the world. That's our goal. And I think with help of everyone, including people who are attending this call and our equity crowdfunding investors, I think we will be able to achieve our goal, or at least I hope we will be able to achieve our goal and build something great together.
Very exciting, very inspiring. So I want to talk a little bit about fundraising. Because we have a couple questions about that. So starting off, what capital has been invested so far in the project up until now before the net capital raise?
Yes, before Netcapital around 1 million.
Okay, and where did that capital come from?
So we did, so first was angel round, that's where we raised around 300,000. We did that when we started company. So I guess like since when we started company, before our round on WeFunder. And we have since then have done our first equity crowdfunding campaign on WeFunder. We probably were one of the hottest startup raising in mid-March. Worst time to do fundraising, I guess, but it went beautifully. It was great in terms of we allowed lots of people to participate, lots of people to join us, and we also learned lots of great things about the product and great feedback. And so this was beautiful. This was great. It's part of our goal of shared AI for all and building AI for all. And so exactly. So 2 rounds, one on WeFunder and one angel round before.
Great. And so talking about that WeFunder round, we have some questions, I think, from probably some of your WeFunder investors.
Yeah.
How does the current funding round affect investors who invested during the previous WeFunder round?
Yeah, so this is great for previous investors because more capital company has all those equal higher chances of succeeding, right? Because in the end, we need 2 things. We need human capital and financial capital. That's all we need. We need brains and we need resources to spend on these brains, right? So we are doing great job on human capital and we are doing great job on financial capital as well. And we're going to continue doing great job on both of these fronts. And so this is amazing. And more resources we have, more time we can put on business development, more time we can put on product development, more time we can put on just improving AI world and improving the world potentially, So this is amazing. And so this is on a high level. And then there's also more on the financial level, right? So we did our WeFunder round at 7.5 million cap and the valuation increased, right? And so that's of course I cannot make any promises about future increases, but I mean I would say large probabilities that our valuation will go up even higher from here, but of course no guarantees and so on, just based on my lawyer's computations to say this. So
Never any guarantees in this business on returns, but we're always excited to keep trying and build something good.
For sure. And I'm happy to all of us working together to realize a dream of building technologies that can change people's lives.
Yeah, and so you've got great momentum on this campaign. What do you plan to use the proceeds of this fundraise for? What is this going to help you get?
For sure, yeah. So majority of our fundraise and financial capital we are raising right now will be used on 2 things, right? First is product development, and second is business development, which entails how product or business development can be done. This cannot be done by itself, right? You need people to be able to do this, right? So which inherently entails payroll, right? So we will need to pay people to build technology and pay people to do business development, right? So that will be big chunk, and then there will be other parts as well, right? Which includes logistical part, lawyer, accounting, marketing, sales, and so on, right? So all other boring stuff that no one wants to spend money on, but because of the way world is organized, we sort of have to, So, but I have very good expectations. So far, we have been very, very efficient on. We cannot really spend most of the money we raised from WeFunder campaign, for example, and we have made enormous progress in the last few months. So way we are using resources is to maximize ROI, and I think we're going to continue doing that in the next few years.
That's great. And thanks again to all of everyone who's attending. These are fantastic questions. If you have more, keep them coming. We're coming towards the end of both the questions that are coming in and the prepared questions, but I'll keep asking them as long as they keep coming in. So we had an attendee ask about what's your current involvement with Palantir Analytics, and how does that impact Genesis AI?
Yeah, so with Palatine Analytics, I'm a co-founder of Palatine Analytics, and I'm not actively involved in Palatine Analytics. I'm involved passively right now. I'm working full time on Genesis AI, and this is sort of tragedy slash paradox that some people were accusing me that I don't work full time on Genesis AI, and this is one of those things where you hear rumors about you and you hear no idea from where it's coming from. So yes, to simply summarize, I guess I am passively involved in Palatine Analytics.
Great. And so, we're coming towards the end here. And I know, most people listening are investors or are thinking about investing. So, and, as we just discussed, there's no guarantees in this business. But as you think down the line about Genesis AI and what you're building, what do you see as potential exit opportunities for investors? What's the plan? What would you envision? It's all very speculative, but kind of where do you see the company going?
For sure. So what we want to do is to go as big as possible. And I'm talking about taking over the biggest companies that exist in the world, right? Which is Apple and Amazon. And I'm completely serious. This might, and of course, disclaimers, no guarantees, and so on, right? And I hate to say these disclaimers, but I sort of had to. But what we want to do is we want to build the single most valuable technologies that the mankind has ever seen. We would like to build artificial general intelligence. That's what we want to do. And so our goal is to IPO and IPO very, very big. I'm not talking about IPOing at 30 million valuation somewhere in Europe and telling people that, oh, we are IPOing and blah, blah, blah. No, I'm talking a real IPO. That's my want and my hope and my goal. And but at the same time, they are in our space, especially when the team is great and when traction is great, there are so many opportunities for acquisition, right? Which is sort of acqui-hire and also normal acquisition. Acqui-hire, to expand a little bit there, is, people want to acquire your team and expertise. So we might even receive offers for that as soon as next 12 months. We already know a few companies who can be interested in that, right? And potentially sell a company for, 50 million or something. But this is not what I plan to do. But, I'm a practical guy, right? So if I know that value of my company is 40 million, let's say, and someone is offering 100 million, it's sort of stupid to say no, right? So it's all about, we'll all go down to being practical, but being extremely determined, driven to just create something incredible. The largest company in the world. That's what my want and desire and goal, but of course, no guarantees.
Of course. And there's clearly no shortage of ambition on your side. So that's exciting. We've got a couple more questions coming in. So keep them coming, attendees, and if we'll keep them going for as long as we get them going, and then we'll wrap up. So we have one question specifically about what we just spoke about. If you exit by selling to another company, how would it affect current and older investors?
Rob, can you say one more time?
Sure, sorry. So if you exit by selling to another company, how would it affect current and previous investors?
Yeah. So let's say we sold the company for 100 million valuation, right? And let's say that we fund our investor who invested at 7.5 million valuation owns 1%, right? So he will be able to make around 15x return, right? So because our valuation went up from 7.5 million to around 100 million. And for a Netcapital investor, he will be able to make around 8x return, right? So going from 12.5 million valuation to 100 million valuation. So which means that if you invested, let's say, let's say 10,000. In this campaign, you will be able to make around 100,000, right? Get around 100,000, and that can potentially happen in 1 year or something, right? But of course, no guarantees, right? So potentially, and so yes, this is startup stuff. This is a high risk, high reward. So we can go very, very big, or we can also go to zero. That's also a possibility.
Yeah, it's all about return multiples on the valuation of the company.
That's right.
So then a simple question, how long has the company been in operation?
So around 2 years, yes.
Great. And then what percent does Genesis AI get from Reboot.ai providing clients?
Reboot AI, so this is our new partner, so we will be getting 30%.
Exciting.
So, yeah, I know. So this is similar to how much Apple is charging to its applications on App Store, for example.
Oh, that's good to know. That's a good comparison. Looks like we had one more question sneak in. Who provides your professional services, lawyers and accounting?
Yeah, so we are working with a professional law firm, and we are working with an accountant as well. We have been working with them for the last 2 years around, and we have been very happy. And if anyone wants referral, feel free to. I'm not sure if this is the right space to use this.
To refer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, to mention names, and I'm allowed to help and provide referrals. But yeah, feel free to email me on LinkedIn or message me on LinkedIn, and I can tell you all things great about our accountants and lawyers.
Fantastic. Well, thanks, Archil, for taking the time. We appreciate you spending time with us and digging into the company and answering all our questions. It's been great.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you, everyone. Great questions, and I'm excited about what we can build together. And I really appreciate your support. I think we will win, and this will be a great journey for everyone.
Appreciate it. And yeah, thanks to all the attendees. We appreciate all your great questions. If you watch this and you feel like you have more questions, feel free to go to GenesisAI's Netcapital page and post a question there. And Archil will get right back to you on that. And obviously, GenesisAI is currently open for investment on Netcapital. You can go to right to Netcapital's page and click invest and invest right then and there. So with that, again, Archil, thanks for taking the time, and thanks everyone else for watching.
Thank you.
Take care, everybody.
Pleasure.